The Todd Shapiro Show.
Time to hit the button!
On Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.
Frank Dumas, how are you from St. George's Eco Mining and Zeu Crypto Networks? What's going on, man?
Hello, Todd. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Whereabouts are you today?
Well, I think that I'm very excited. A bunch of statistics to compile now. The playoffs are starting.
Oh, man, really exciting time. Yeah, man, we've been talking about the playoffs, and last night was an incredible opening night of the NHL playoffs. Although your Canadians aren't in there, bro.
Actually makes it more interesting. Suddenly it's not emotional anymore. Now, in my hockey pool that you're part of, I'm trying to actually play the odds.
Yeah, I mean,
can you just say, is it something where I know there's a lot of things we're not allowed to say on your show, but is it okay if we say who you put as for the Stanley Cup in the pool?
Oh no, you're not. You can't disclose this. I don't care. Yeah, you can do it. Who did I pick in the first round? You can talk about it.
Oh no, I cannot do that. Like, you're gonna have people with pitch and fork in front of your studio.
No, do it. You can do it. I'm a fully accountable individual. I have nothing to hide.
I think you might. I'm not sure, but I think you didn't pick up the Leaf.
Did I? I don't think I took the Leaf. I did not. I didn't take the Leafs. I took the Bruins, and if money is involved, I took the Bruins in 7. I believe. Did I not?
Yeah, no, in 6.
No, I didn't say 6. Did I say 6?
Maybe it's 7. Maybe.
I think I might have said so.
I might be the one that says in 6.
This is my thing, man, when it comes to hockey, and everyone's going nuts right now, and every home team and a home fan goes nuts for their home team, of course, Frank. But for me, man, I'm like, now when it comes to money, my hard-earned money, I weigh, like you're saying, I take the emotion out of it. I weigh the odds. And the odds tell me, as much as my emotion is fighting me internally, these two little people on my shoulder are punching the crap at each other like one of the best hockey fights of all time. And the odds guys are winning. The odds guys are fisting it out saying, listen, the Bruins are statistically favorable to beat the Maple Leafs this year. My emotional side, though, they're going to the Cup and they're winning it. They're sweeping every round.
Well, it'd be nice if the Leafs can at least go to the second round, to be honest. Like, for once, I'd love to see that, get them to maybe even the final this year. But, who I picked for final anyway.
Who do you have? I forget.
I have Nashville, but here's the difference probably here is that I don't pretend that I know what I'm doing when it gets to that level.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does, especially with the parity in the league and the Preds losing last night to the Stars, but they were up and they got the first goal anyway, and I was surprised to see that. I thought the Preds were going to win too, quite handedly.
Well, it gets interesting because I'm looking at a lot of these new startups also, and it connects back to the blockchain where people are using social media or social networks to create pools with people they don't know. And when it's your group of friends, it's okay. One of the guys that you kind of trust more than the other is the one holding all these $5 or $20 that you put in a pool. But when you go on social network, how do you get paid when all these other guys will lose and you win? So, that's probably one other thing we might be developing in the coming year is actually hockey pool, football pools, and all that we can deploy on the blockchain, so that people can just go and create their own pool with people from around the world.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Frank Dumas, of course, if you haven't heard him on the program before, he's got one of these big brains and really understands what's going on with the blockchain, and a lot of announcements I would imagine coming soon with the Zeu Crypto Networks, and you're a big part of the St. George's Eco Mining. So just like, how would that simplify that for people? And listen, we delve into blockchain, so I think most of my listening audience would kind of understand how that would work. But yeah, for like a hockey pool or, when there's exchange of money, that type of stuff, how would that work and sort of ensure that everything is on the up and up?
Well, it becomes very simple. from what you will be paying for the service. Let's say everybody puts in $10. You get 10 people, it's $100 minus 10 or 10 person for the network to pay the cost of operating the network, the hosting and whatnot. The rest is all pretty much ruled by smart contracts. So all the conditions and all the rules are input into a contract, and they just automatically disburse as you go. So first price, secondary price, or the odd bets and whatnot, all ruled by one contract per pool that will automatically pay out when the results comes in. So there's no way you can tamper with it, and it's very transparent. Everybody sees if the contract has been tampered with or not.
How does that work for actual like lotteries? Like could lotteries stand to get on a blockchain as well? Because there's been a lot of problems with lotteries in the past of false tickets, false claims, issues within that. And is it like that now?
I think it's the best case study. Lotteries are literally the best case study for blockchain. It's probably the only way, because it's distributed and decentralized. It's the only way to really have not pure randomness, but the closest you can get to randomness with a machine. It's not balls that are turning into a machine like the old ways where you add actual randomness, but it's a generate randomness from computer, for example, that you get on online casino. You're always suspicious. Are they playing? Are they reducing the odds? Are they changing the payout? They're telling us, for example, you would go pay a Keno on some of the large sites out there right now. They're not blockchain, they're traditional internet. And they will tell you that they pay back 80 or 90, 92% of the money that they collect. But you have to trust them. Like, it's very difficult to audit them, sitting in your sofa where you're placing bets. But with the blockchain, you'll have the whole community constantly watching what's happening. And the beauty of it also is that you can do, for example, what we developed with our random number generator in Zeu was developed for lottery. And it re-randomizes the odds every time that there's a new bet coming in. And you can do that with the blockchain. It's not, and people can see the process. It's very transparent. They can trust it. While if it was on one server, one computer, even if the person running or the group running the lottery is honest, they would still be, they could be attacked or they could be hacked. Somebody could get into that one central point of weakness and change the odds in its favor. And that's the beauty of the blockchain for the lottery right now.
What about as you're saying this, my head's kind of going, and I think earlier I was talking about the Road Hockey to Conquer Cancer for the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation. We're a big part of it every year, and I was thinking that for charity organizations, the blockchain would be fantastic too, be in that sort of similar vein.
It's that connects probably with another project that we announced recently. We brought in the clients, and keep in mind it's not us doing it. They're a client. They'll run their business model on our protocol, and we'll develop the distributed application that will interact with their business model. But they will actually raise money in part through charity. So that's an auditable money trail because it's on the blockchain. Transfer through the equivalent of cryptocurrency or crypto token. And so you know that when you give X amount, you know where it goes. You can follow the different wallet and see where it gets distributed for which program, and what amount actually goes to administration, what amount goes into the field to, dig wells or build hospitals or dispensaries. And that group, in particular, what they're doing, they're moving it a little bit further in what was our business model, or part of our business model, which is the trading of personal data, about opt-in personal data. They'll offer free healthcare in different countries in Africa and in Southeast Asia against the access to the personal data of these people. And it can probably be moved further down the road, and we could track with solar power device, like personal device, things that are the size of a watch or with your phone. We can also track the biorhythms and the different bioinformation that people have, like sugar, their sugar levels, their blood sugar levels, their heartbeat, different elements like that you can then package and sell anonymously, still protecting the anonymity of the person, but use it for big pharma, for example, if they want to run a double-blind study and that type of information. So certainly the value, your personal data as a North American is probably worth a few $1,000s every year.
Mine's worth a little more now. Like when mine be.
It depends on how much you have on your credit card, but
yeah.
But in Africa, still versus it's probably one of the rare things that universally everybody has. Your personal data is worth something, no matter who you are, where you are, even if you live on the street. Your personal data could be worth probably more than your net worth, and suddenly that can actually pay for free healthcare, and that can give you access to. Not necessarily diagnostic by machines, but we're not going to restart the Theranos episode. But let's say it can give you access to telemedicine and to to consultation on Skype with a doctor in India, when you're somewhere in a village in Africa.
And listen, I love I love the idea, obviously, of free healthcare. But would it be in this scenario, Frank Dumas? Would this be like a steep price to pay your personal data to ensure that you're being taken care of? Is that a scary thought at all?
It's well, it depends on how it's managed. Again, like I'm saying, like you still have your anonymity.
You can opt in. I see.
Yeah, and you can opt out. You can also opt out of certain elements that you don't want to go out. The biggest difference is right now, your personal data, you yourself, mine, is already being sold. People are already making billions of dollars with people's data. Now, suddenly what we do is say to people, we'll use it, we'll make money off of it, but you'll get a portion of it, and you'll get something in return also.
Yeah, and I think that's vital, man. And for any citizen right now, and people don't think about it enough, and I know we've had these discussions before, but basically anytime you're opening anything, anytime you give consent to any app, anytime you're doing essentially anything online, even Facebook, where they can't protect your data. We just recently saw it on a bunch of servers that anyone could access. It is frightening to think about it that way. So at least if it's going to get out there, you should be rewarded for that, and the blockchain can chat about that. Has blockchain, and I ask you this sort of every time you come on the show, because there was a lot of hype with it about a year and a half ago, died off a little bit, but is it still like, is this actually like this blockchain talk? Is this going to continue to propel forward, and are we going to actually see these types of things that we're talking about in the near future?
We're starting to see a lot of these guys deploying or at least developing the application that they raise money for during the big ICO craze, and a lot of what you've seen out there. Like I was expecting a lot more projects to come to market. A lot of people raise a lot of money for a lot of white papers, but I had no idea how to deploy a business model after, and how to actually get the right resource to develop it. The crypto winter we just went through probably helped a lot of these people. The ones that were able to raise money during the let's call it the hype or the top of the market, and the market kind of cleans up itself with the crypto winter. Like a lot of projects that were not paying their people because they were in the process of going to an IPO, and were not paying their community. They were not paying their quote-unquote volunteer that were coding for them. They freed up a lot of manpower. So there's a lot of resource now that are available. So we're going to see a lot of these projects that were suffering from a lack of resource, human resource, not a lack of financial resource, but human resource. They're slowly coming online right now. So it's a critical mass. It's premature to think that we're going to be all using the blockchain next year. I would compare that to the internet in 93, 94. We have the equivalent of, the beta version of Netscape, like the Mosaic 0.99. The first web browser just after the BBS. Everybody assumed, okay, there's something there with the internet. Probably it's not a good idea to invest in fax machines or in telex anymore, but we already have an application there. We might be able to use the internet to send a few messages from, non-important message, short message through something, and then emails came in, or democratize itself. So that's where we are right now. We're seeing the normal place, or the place where obviously blockchain would make a difference. In gambling, for example, that's one. Trading of data, or even securitization of commodities, things like that. That's natural to go there. Transfer of money between banks. That's another place where it's very natural to see it. And the rest, and all the other applications, there's a lot of them that I wouldn't even think of it right now. I've met with people in London two, 3 weeks ago, and they showed me different business model and different project they had. And some of them I would have not thought that would be something that people will deploy on the blockchain, but it makes sense. So that's slowly but surely you're going to start to see a lot of these, and eventually we'll hit a critical mass. And I would say the general public will start to use it, a little bit like the internet was. I remember people telling me in 96, 97, this internet thing is just a phase. People will keep doing what they're doing. People will keep hiring or selling their house the way they were selling it. People will not. They want to touch paper. They don't want to go to order books online. They like the expense of libraries. And then look at what happened.
And Frank Dumas, what about the updates within, that's very positive and encouraging news, what you're talking about in the space in general. How are you, and I don't know what you can or can't say, but where are you at with the Zeu Crypto Networks?
Well, there's a lot of things that are done or negotiated behind closed door. So I think you've seen a few of the early stuff that came in. We brought in Francis, or Dr. Zeu, recently. She specialized in blockchain for in what her bio called artificial intelligence, and also in blockchain for the medical industry, and that's somehow a natural market for the blockchain. She will probably help us in a lot of governmental related type of mandate. Blockchain could be a fantastic thing for election also.
Yes, I've always thought about that for voting, man, no doubt.
And we have a pilot program right now. That's something we didn't announce, but we've been approached by a political party to run and we're doing that pro bono, so there's no revenue. There's not really material in that sense, but just as a way to evaluate if we could deploy some type of election application on our protocol. And there's a chance this party will actually use it for their own internal elections, like organizers and stuff like that get elected. And they wanted to investigate if it's something that they could use. And a lot of people have thought and talked about this, like in Quebec and Ontario years ago. It's been pushed to the side, and the federal government did the same recently with the election reform. Apart from the PR talks and the first past the post talks, there was also other discussion of how can we make election or the electoral process more democratic. How do we get to the people that have a difficulty to go vote or that just don't vote? Sorry. One of the things is to use electronic vote. And now, right away, everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people will raise their hand and say, well, what about hackers? What about the Russians? What about the Chinese. They could just come in and change the results of the election. Well, that's the beauty of the blockchain. It's like it's the electronic vote, but in a way that you cannot tamper with. And if ever you were to, it would be obvious to everyone. So that's there's a few things like that we're working on. There's obviously a lot of people now. There's a few of the clients that we already announced. The fact that it came up publicly, we get their either the competitor or other people doing something similar in the same business. They're starting to actually inquire about what we're doing, what could we do. And we're getting a lot of these ICOs that had business models, started to develop, and it went nowhere, or they hit a wall, and they've been on ice for a while. And now that the crypto's picking up again, they're able to raise a little bit of money, and they're coming back and asking us, could you help? Is there a way we can improve what we're doing, and can we run what we're doing on your protocol?
Is that company going public?
Eventually, yes.
You chuckle.
Well, it's not something I can really discuss in details, but we are probably in the last few days of finalizing the paperwork to provide to the exchange, and then after that, everything is on their ends.
Frank, sorry, go ahead.
No, and the difficulty here is obviously because you're on the board of another similar company, but there's a lot of things that we're kind of the first to go through. How do you evaluate digital assets? How do you depreciate it or take impairment? Like there's a lot of mostly accounting issues with our business at this point. That there's no fixed norm just yet, and it takes a little bit more time.
Well, good luck with getting all that through. And yeah, definitely one of the things I've learned being on the board of directors of a publicly traded company is compliance and things take time. And time is usually on an investor's side, though, because you want to make sure that everything's on the up and up and do things right. Frank, we do appreciate your time and you disclosing the fact that I took Boston over the Maple Leafs in 7 games. We didn't have that on a blockchain. No one needed to know. No one needed to know that. That's not on a block, you know.
Let me actually make it up to you. Like you found someone to take care of your cat.
Yeah, I tweeted, but I need help. We do have a couple's friend that will take care of a cat. You take in a lot of stray cats. I learned about you.
Yeah, I've done that a lot. It started with that one cat gave birth on the floor of my basement. We had to and didn't took care of the kittens. We had to wake up every 90 minutes to feed the kittens for a few weeks. And so we start to try to place these kittens after, and we learn about a few of the charity around that we're doing sterilization for cats, for stray cats, or to sterilize the colony cats that we have in the area. And there's a lot of cats around. Every spring, I see these fat and pregnant female cats walking around, and I know that I'm going to have to go and get the raccoon cage at one point and catch a few to sterilize them. But there's some charity out there that I'm collaborating with that take care of the blunt of the cost. And there's some vet also that they do it at once. So it costs me the price of often just the medication that's needed and the equipment, and the vet's doing it for free. And then after a few weeks of making sure the cat is okay, we either place them, and in some case we just release them back to what we would refer as the colony.
Well, very nice you to do that. And Frank, we appreciate everything you bring to the program, and we always learn something, and I think that's really important. St. George's Eco Mining and soon Zeu Crypto Networks. Thanks so much, man.
Oh, thank you.
Cheers. Frank Dumas, everyone.
This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.